I just had to pull over on the side of the road after I heard somebody have a little mini meltdown on YouTube. And I'm going to address this issue because Trump just made a promise to almost 6 million people in America that work for tips. And this person had a tiny little meltdown. It's one of those people that are a fence sitter. They're wishy-washy. They were complaining about both sides of the aisle. And this was this person's best argument, that Trump wants to eliminate tips and that people that make tips should pay taxes on the tips. So let me explain something real quick. First off, this person's one of those ones that are ghosting me. I think people that ghost people or ignore people are cowards. All right. But here's facts. We don't have a lot of men that are men. If you got a problem with someone, let them know. If they call you and they say, hey, how are you doing? Are we good? Answer the text. Okay. Just putting this out there. Type 1 if you agree with that. Our society has too many little simps running around that don't got a sack on them to actually stand up to someone and said, yeah, you offended me, or I don't really like this view about you. You know, maybe we should go our separate ways, but be honest. All right, now let's talk, because this person that had this little tiny mini breakdown before they stopped themselves, which is good, has never owned a business from what I know, is not a business owner. And I'm going to break down the economics of what Trump said and why he said it and why it's important. And that's why we need a business owner in the White House and not some idiot that's out there crapping himself because he's got dementia because he, hooked up with his wife when she was 14 years old. Let's make this really clear of which side I stand on. Okay? Here we go. Out of Washington, economists across the ideological spectrum raised doubts about the cost and workability of the former president, Donald Trump's proposal over the weekend to exempt tips from federal taxes if he wins November. So let me explain another thing real quick. Most economists, they've never owned a business. They're complete morons. They went to school and learned from other people that didn't own businesses that had theories. All right? In the fire service, we have something called pump theory. It is literally just that. We do all this math calculations and we go, well, in theory, it should work. I'm not joking. If you're a firefighter, chime in. We think it's the biggest joke in the world. But that's what economists do, theories, all right? There are a handful of people that actually can tell you what's going to come next because of past experience, past history, things like that, okay? That's why it's important that we have a president that was a businessman or is a businessman, because running the country, it's a business. That's why a lot of churches go out broke, because pastors aren't businessmen. Churches are business. Fire departments are business. Trying to tell my fire chief that for years, but hey, the eagle always poops every week, and they just that's no joke their term. So let's go a little deeper into this, because I could give a rat's crap about what some economist thinks about this. During a campaign rally Sunday in Las Vegas, where hundreds of thousands work in the hospitality industry, Trump promised service workers that they would no longer have to pay federal taxes on tipped income if the presumptive Republican nominee wins a second term. So let's just show you, this is coming from someone that's owned many businesses, has worked in the service industry myself, and let's use California and that moron Gavin Newsom as an example. That moron Gavin Newsom, type 2 if you agree, forced restaurants to raise their pay, right? Well, a lot of restaurants have been able to make it and make a profit and grow over the last, let's say 10 decades, because they pay minimum wage to their employees, knowing that their employees supplement their income and desire to work at their restaurant because people give them tips. Now, when I was working as a waiter, I worked in a very famous, two famous steakhouses, AJ Spurs and McClintock's in California, two well-known steakhouses in the state of California. They were, it was an amazing job because I averaged about, $200 an hour, I think I was making back in 1997, 98, around there. I was averaging $200 an hour. I was working 5 hours a day, and I was crushing it because that establishment had a certain level of clientele because it had built an amazing reputation. It spent a lot of money on an amazing building, bringing in amazing steaks, chefs, and all this talent together, right? So people with money would go there and spend money to eat. Well, they paid me minimum wage. Boo-hoo. No, it wasn't, because I wanted to work there, and there was a line out the door to go work there because people tipped. And we knew how much an hour we make. I never sat there and whined, but this moron Gavin Newsom's forcing people in the service industry to get paid more. and it's bankrupting the restaurants. Now, Trump knows this. During that time was actually when we started to convert over to tipping or paying taxes on tipping. And then it got really ugly when it was the restaurant said how much you made in tips. Most people don't know this. Matter of fact, type 3 if you understand this, where the restaurant, you don't get a choice. The IRS taxes you based off of your bills. And if somebody doesn't tip you a certain percentage, you're actually paying tax on money you never made. Well, a lot of people don't know this. And I think it's absolutely disgusting as a business owner. So if we're going to have a meltdown on YouTube because we're like, both sides of the aisle have their issues. No, they don't. One side is crapping his pants and foaming at the mouth and talking gibberish while he's taking away our rights. Okay, that's what he's doing. Like right now, he is signing a bill, championing a bill that, you know, if you don't pay your medical bills, that's not going to hurt your credit score. Okay, cool. So that's what Joe Biden's doing. That's what he's busy doing. Donald Trump goes, yeah, these restaurants are going to go out of business because the only way that they're being taxed, the employees are being taxed and they're having no relief. And since they can barely make it, and that's the stance Governor Newsom's on, well, these people can barely make it. Yeah. Be careful. Yeah, you moron, because your state has the highest state income tax, some of the highest, the highest gas tax, all the other tax. And now you're going to ultimately destroy the restaurant because you're going to cause them to raise their what's it called? Minimum wage. Why don't you just take away the tax on tips? But you see, that's the thing. When you go out here in the sphere of YouTube land and stuff, you got guys that are so fancy and they're doing all this work and stuff. They have no real economic background. They have no business acumen. They have no money in the bank. That's why there's a lot of people that freak out when they actually do get to know me. And there's a difference between total fakes and these fools that are running and they got millions of subs. And I just want to be right on the side. I don't want to take a political stance. I don't want to take any kind of stance at all. I just want to make money from you and keep shoving FTX deals down your throat and moo for stocks. That's what's really happening. They don't have their own product to sell because they don't have any past experience. They just want to sit on the fence. So just so you know, and let me ask you this, hashtag Trump, and I could give a rat's butt what the algo does with it. If you plan on voting for him and you agree with that's a really good idea. Why don't we not tax tips on the federal level? And hopefully some states will back that up. And let's just let people make the decision where they want to work. You know, everybody had the right to not apply for McDonald's. Shoot, I'm going to go over to a Dutch Brothers Coffee right after this because I got to go make an awesome video at Toyota. Keep an eye out for that one because they're collapsing. I'm going to go to Dutch Brothers and I'm going to give someone a tip. Good news. I'm in a state that doesn't have income tax. Well, that's right. I had the choice to move. See, we all have the choice. Well, no, Ninja, I've got a job. Yeah, I left mine. I walked and took the biggest risk of my life. No one can ever say to me, ever, well, you don't know what it's like. You say to do this, but man, I'm doing it 10 times more. And you know what? If you want to call it bragging, I guess the truth is bragging. You don't see me pulling up in a Lambo. That would not be a good business decision. There's a day for that. But you don't see me being the fancy guy. But this is the cool news. And this is where I want to honestly, hopefully connect with you right now. There are a lot of you right now that know truth from a lie, that know success from failure, right? Based off of past experience. And you've tried to help other people. You are successful in your own right. Wherever you are financially, wherever you are in your relationship, you know that if I was down here, I'm here in a relationship. I'm here in finances. I keep climbing, right? Wherever you are, if you can look in the mirror and say, I'm better today than I was yesterday, right? You're a success. Would you agree with that? Type 5 if you agree with that. So my point is that we need to, and this is where I want to connect with you, honestly. There are a lot of people out there that are jealous when they see you succeed, all right? And I want you to hold your head up high and just continue to live in their domes rent-free. But don't give them any thought. Don't give them any thought. There are a ton of cowards in this world. That plan to not tax tips Trump's plan, it's a good plan. See, we actually need less taxation in our country because the government beast, the monster, keeps growing based off of our money. There was a revolution a long time ago over a T-tax. What was it, 2%? There was an actual revolution over it. Now you are taxed in every form. You're pretty much now taxed to breathe the fresh air that the globalists say that they're using as their private jet farts right over your head. Less taxation will create a freer America because it will have mean more money in your pockets. I've been telling you that the greatest way to wealth is real estate. And the real reason is because the number one reason you got cash flow, it's because of the taxes. It's the only investment in the world that you don't pay taxes legally if you do things right. That's why I say real estate. That's how I made my first million on paper, lost it during some other things, and then had to rebuild and rebuild. And I know what it's like. And once you've tasted what it's like to make that kind of money, you don't give up. All right. I want to be an inspiration to you guys, not a hindrance. I'm not going to be a fence sitter. If you don't like my views, no problem. There's the door. See you later. Anybody want to leave a stupid comment? It's right for the pinning. that was funny. I just made that up. All right. My point being is that was funny. I'm going to go now. I'm going to go make another video and I'm going to do, you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to sit on a fence. I guess the fence sitters are okay because they got nothing between their legs to worry about. I mean, that's just true. They're not men. I'm going to be honest with you. There's little idiots, and it's fun because there's this one guy on YouTube. He's really popular. I'm not going to say who it is, like really big. And he's been going on podcasts left and right, and these other alphas are just tearing him up. Man, you're a fence sitter. He just doesn't know what's happening lately, and he's about to lose it all because the alphas are starting to wake up and go, man, what are you doing popular? And it's getting bigger and bigger. All right. Hope you're doing great. And yes, fence sitters are easy targets because just like a squirrel, man, I was always hoping for that shot. Hopefully you guys have a great day. The Economic Ninja is out.